Andrea enrolls in the prestigious Ettinger Academy, which until recently had been an all-boys boarding school. She's thrilled about the opportunities ahead of her, and she quickly becomes intrigued by the charismatic teacher Philo. But Andrea can't help noticing that the top students are behaving strangely, as if they've been brainwashed, and there's a terrifying reason for it. Many well-known actors have, let's say, less than stellar projects in their filmographies. Movies they joined either out of poor judgment or because they urgently needed the work. Why Virginia Madsen, later the star of the cult horror Candyman and an Oscar nominee for the lyrical drama Sideways, ended up in Zombie High is unclear. Perhaps she was drawn by the chance to work with director Ron Link, more on him later. But in practice, this film is easily one of the weakest entries in her early career. Conceptually, it's something between the classic Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Breakfast Club, a story about young freethinkers being reprogrammed for success at the cost of their individuality. The characters almost verbatim replicate the archetypes from John Hughes's teen comedies. Andrea, the smart girl, befriends flirty Susie, played by future Two Moon Junction and Twin Peaks star Sherilyn Fenn, and they're surrounded by the usual suspects: the jock, the misfit, and the good-natured nerd with a terrible haircut. To underscore the generation gap, stately classical music echoes through the Academy halls, and one of the keys to defeating the dreary gray conformity is swapping the tape in the PA system for a loud rock track, with the chorus "Kiss My Butt." On paper, this sounds like a great setup for a fun satirical horror film. But the movie never progresses beyond straightforward satire of the education system. The creators of Zombie High seem determined to avoid entering the horror genre altogether. Once the film flopped, it became painfully obvious that putting the word zombie in the title of a movie with 0 zombies was a terrible idea. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Zombie High lacks just about everything: interesting characters, sharp humor, real suspense, and even basic plot momentum. The protagonist is practically led by the hand through the entire story, carefully protected by the very teacher, Philo, to whom she reminds of his deceased wife. For a film supposedly about rebellion versus conformity, Zombie High is shockingly bland. It scrupulously avoids even the smallest hint of rebellion or exploitation grit. No graphic violence, no nudity, not even a whiff of edgy attitude. The result is an awkward oxymoron, a dull, artificial simulation that feels like a Stepford wife desperately trying and failing to pass for human. 11 years later, Robert Rodriguez would show how this kind of story should be done with The Faculty, but that's an entirely different tale. For director Ron Link, Zombie High became both his first and last film. A theater director known for experimental productions, Link had staged early plays featuring Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone, and it's clear he enjoys and understands working with actors. But even the presence of Madsen and Fenn can't save the movie. In fact, their talent only highlights the shapelessness and helplessness of the film as a whole.